Okay, before we get into our hearings, we're going to do bill introductions. And I'm going to close the blinds behind me because it's just shining right on my screen. So just give me a second. All right. My assistant is going to help someone who's challenged in tasks. So, is there anybody that has a bill introduction? I still haven't heard from anybody, but I wanted to start the meeting off with giving you the opportunity to do bill introductions at this time. And I'm seeing behind me that it wasn't just me that was having a hard time with the blinds. I am not seeing anybody with bill introductions. We will be having, again, opportunities next week for bill introductions too. But at this time, we will close bill introductions and we'll get right into the hearing on House Bill 2124. And we'll start off with an overview by Nick Myers. Nick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. House Bill 2124 would authorize certain healing arts schools to practice the healing arts in school clinics. So currently, in current law, healing arts schools are allowed to practice the healing arts if the school is approved by the Board of Healing Arts, is a nonprofit entity, and is approved by the State Board of Regents. And that's kind of the key with this bill. So in 2017, there was a bill that exempted specifically Cleveland University from the Board of Regents oversight under the Private and Out-of-State Post-Secondary Educational Institution Act. And due to that exemption, that statutory exemption, Cleveland University is no longer technically approved by the State Board of Regents under that act. So under this current bill, House Bill 2124, it would clarify that any law prohibiting the practice of healing arts by a general business organization would not apply to a healing arts school clinic under the supervision of a person licensed to practice the same branch of healing arts, so long as that healing arts school is approved by the Board of Healing Arts still, is a nonprofit entity, and is either approved by the Board of Regents or exempt from Board of Regents approval. And then additionally, the bill would add healing arts school clinic to the definition of a qualified person in the professional corporation law and the Kansas Revised Limited Liability Company Act. And I'd be happy to try to answer questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right, questions from the committee. And I know my vice chair is in the room. I'm looking at my screen right now. I will let the committee know that we worked this bill last year. There was no opposition last year, and it just got caught up in the COVID shutdown. And so that's why we're having this hearing again, so we can hopefully get the job completed this year. And I appreciate, I think Nick, you did a great job explaining, because I'm not seeing any hands raised. So let's just go into the testimony, and if there are questions, I'm sure, Carl, you'll be able to answer any questions that come up after you give your testimony. But Carl Cleveland, the third, is that, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Hubert and members of the committee. My name's Carl Cleveland III. I'm the president of Cleveland University, Kansas City. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I'm here representing an institution that is 501c3, not-for-profit, located in Overland Park. The institution was founded in 1922 by Carl and Ruth Cleveland. They were doctors of chiropractic, and it's a personal privilege to me to be appointed by the Board of Trustees to serve as president of this institution, an institution that will be celebrating its centennial next year in 2022. The institution is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, the Council on Chiropractic Education, the Accrediting Council for Occupational Therapy Education, Degrees offered include associate's degree in occupational therapy assistant, radiological technology, associate's degree in biology, bachelor's degree in biology, bachelor's in exercise science, master's in health promotion, and the doctor of chiropractic degree. The institution employs 140 faculty and staff, enrolls 590 students. 37% of those students are from the state of Kansas. And the Doctor of Chiropractic program in its senior year in its health center treats over 30,000 patient visits a year. And that clinic experience is part of why this bill is important to the institution. And this bill, HR 2124, addresses the issues that Mr. Myers clearly identified. It addresses the conflict that exists between existing statutes. But in addition to that, it clarifies the institution's authority to expand its student intern experience, putting clinics or establishing clinics or affiliating with clinics that are off campus in underserved community areas. That's the basis for our request. Cleveland is now, as of 2017, with the amended statute, is a member of the Kansas Independent College Association. Those institutions represent Baker to Barclay to Benedictine colleges, Friends University, Kansas Westland, Southwest College, and the University of St. Mary's, and many others. And passing this bill addresses the conflict, but secondarily, it allows this institution to establish these affiliated off-site clinics in underserved areas. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Carl. Open it up to questions from the committee. Please, again, if you can use your participant button and go up, and if you have a question and press that. If you're in the room, you can raise your hand. And Adam, if you see any, I don't have my phone with me right now. So do you see anybody in the room that has a question? Not seeing anybody?
No, sir. Just trying to narrow down the room to see, try to make
okay.
sure I get to everybody.
All right. Well, again, I didn't expect this to be a controversial bill after last year, but it's a new year and we have to introduce it and go through the process again. We don't have any opponents. If you look at your agenda, you will also see written opponent testimony from Travis Oler, Executive Director from Kansas Chiropractic Association. So again, before we wrap up, I'll just give one last chance for any questions. And I'm scrolling, but I'm not seeing anything. Carl, you did a great job, and I'm sure Nick did a great job of explaining too. I had considered this being consent calendar worthy, but I've been informed that because of the way we're doing things, that might take 3 weeks. And, you know, so probably next week, we will consider working this bill and getting it below the line, and then hopefully working with leadership to get it above the line. And without any other comments or questions, Carl, did you have anything else you'd like to add in closing?
Just thank you for your efforts from last year and again this year for carrying this forward.
Well, you're very welcome, and hopefully we're going to stay healthy and we're going to do our job and we're going to get things done this year, including your bill. So with that, absent any other comments or questions, I'm going to go ahead and close the discussion and close the hearing on House Bill 2124. And hopefully, again, it would be my intention to consider working this next week.
Thank you very much.
All right, committee, let's go ahead and move on to our next hearing, and that is House Bill 2085. I'm going to open up the hearing, and this is also another bill that we worked on last year. It was a little more extensive when it started, but I know the drafter of the bill worked with the Board of Regents to come up with a compromise language that we passed out last year. And again, it also got cut up and not worked last year. So here we are again with a new bill with another hearing. And we will let Nick Myers again give us a brief introduction before we get into testimony. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, thank you again, Mr. Chair. Okay, committee, House Bill 2080, is it 2085, right? Yeah, House Bill 2085. This bill would establish the Students' Right to Know Act. What this act and this bill would require is it would require the Kansas State Department of Education to ensure that each student enrolled in grades 7 through 12 receives one, the degree prospectus information that's published by the State Board of Regents pursuant to state law. Also, number 2, the Kansas Training Information Program Report published pursuant to state law again. And then 3, any other information that's relevant to understanding potential earnings as determined by the Department of Labor and potential earnings published by each branch of the Armed Forces. It would also allow the Department of Education to enter into any necessary agreements to implement this bill. Just real quick, that degree prospectus information is published by the Board of Regents, and it's information on kind of expected number of years and cost for certain degree programs at institutions and colleges, wage information that you could expect from that degree, things of that sort. And then the Kansas Training Information Program Report is more kind of that same type of thing, but more geared towards the technical professions. In committee, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Questions from the committee?
Representative Camp has a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there an example of what this would look like? Just a 1-page or 2-page, something that we could just view?
You can view it online, and we could probably have the Board of Regents come over and give a presentation. I know I served on a Future of Higher Education committee this summer and fall, and I think one of the reasons why the Board of Regents is supporting this bill is because they want to help get information out the bill, help promote it, and I would consider having them give a demonstration in the future so that you can help, promote and let, parents and kids in your district know that this is an excellent tool when looking at making college choices and getting a lot of good information. So I'll consider doing that in the future. We maybe should have considered doing that today, but here we are. It's a great to see what's available. You'll be amazed to see the information that is available, and appreciate even this bill is just another opportunity to help promote and get the word out to parents and kids. Further questions from the committee? Adam is not seeing anybody in there, and I'm.
Representative Stogstill.
Oh, I might see some hands. Representative Stogstill, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a really good idea to have that kind of information available to students. My question is, how do we disseminate that? Will that be information that will just be available in counseling offices, or would this require counselors to actually meet with each student to provide them with that information?
We talked about this summer, and we are trying to work with counselors and others to have this to be a tool that they work with kids. And I think that there's been a lot of good visibility that that's happening. But we're wanting to encourage that more. And like I said, I think this hearing is just another opportunity to bring visibility and then to continue to help, school counselors to make this information available to parents and kids.
Mr. Chair, I had one real quick comment. Is there any chance that we could get somebody from the group that represents counselors to come in and give their view on this? My only problem with it, as I say, I think having that information available is extremely valuable. But my wife was head of counseling at Shawnee Mission East for 14 years and did all the college counseling for a long time. And that was when they had 7 counselors. Right now they have 4. Yeah. And I just don't want to, I want to make sure that they are able to do their counseling duties and it doesn't take them away from
We will reach out to the group that represents the counselors. And I think that besides this topic, there would be other topics I'm sure that they would be willing to share and update us on. So I will consider trying to reach out to them and get them on a future agenda.
That'd be great.
Thank you for the question and comment. Representative Wolfmore.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I did a simple question. So I do remember this bill. So with the compromises that were made for this bill, I believe you said the Board of Regents now is in full support. Is that correct?
My apologies.
That's okay. Did you hear my question?
I didn't. I was talking with my assistant real quick. So go ahead and repeat your question.
Mr. Chair. And with the compromises that were made on the bill, did you say that now the Board of Regents is in support of it?
Oh, yeah. And you'll see written testimony from both Blake Flanders, and then also from Matt Lindsay. So,
thank you very much.
Okay. And we also have somebody from the Board of Regents that's available, Norma Frisbee. If Norma, if you're on the call right now and would like to share some comments and thoughts.
Good afternoon. This is Elaine Frisbee. I'm Vice President for Finance and Administration with the Board of Regents. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're doing fine.
Very good. Very good. So a couple of things, I think a legislator inquired how this would appear. So we do have a published website we've had in place now for going on 6 years and would love to have more traffic to that website. Between our work with the Department of Ed, we have a working group trying to sort out how best to get this information in high school counselors' hands. And we are also working with the State Department of Ed to get this embedded in students' individual plans of study. So one of the tasks that they would do in their plan of study would be to go visit this site and get the information on degree programs they might be interested in, and then what actual Kansas students have paid for those degree programs, and then what earnings they might have earned in the state of Kansas or Missouri in recent years. So there's a lot of really good information, and we want more students to have access to that. So we are very supportive of this bill.
Okay, and I think, is Blake Flanders on the call also? Do you know? He has written testimony.
Actually, Blake is testifying on another ed bill in Senate Education. So
okay. Well, tell Blake that I and the committee say hi, and I'm sure we'll have maybe another opportunity for him to join us, even maybe with the 5-year plan committee that I was on. That might be a good topic for Blake to give us an update on that committee and the work that we did this summer and fall. So you might suggest that to him.
He would be pleased to do that.
Okay. I saw another question from Representative Poskin. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was reviewing the proponent testimony from when it was 2519 to now this year at 2085. Is it fair to characterize that the difference is that last year it was more like reinventing the wheel, like making new websites and so forth, and then this year the emphasis is on disseminating information that's already available?
Yeah, I think you're accurate in what you said. I think the original bill did have more information, and the maker of the bill worked with the Board of Regents to come up with the version we have now. So it was a compromise from last year, and it's just being reintroduced after, again, it died for lack of having the opportunity to be worked on the floor last year.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions from the committee?
Yes, Representative Collins.
The floor is yours, Representative Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Mr. Vice Chair. Actually, I was going to ask about if this information was available now, but that question has pretty much been answered in the dialogue. So thank you very much.
You know, I might check to see if we can even get some kind of a link that we could send out to people so you could access it. If we can do that, we'll do that. And if not, we'll try to have a presentation in the committee, because it is, I think you'll enjoy that presentation if we get that chance to do that. So I'll work with the Board of Regents to do that. Maybe we could have both that done at the same time when Blake Flanders would give an update on the future of higher education. Further questions or comments? I think we might have had somebody that was going to share some testimony. Joe Harvorth. Are you available, Joe, and ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, other members of the committee. My name is Joe Horvath. I'm a visiting fellow with the Opportunity Solutions Project, which is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that advocates pro-work policies. And you already have my written testimony, so I'll just make my remarks brief. And I just have to say, first off, it's a real pleasure to testify in support of this bill. And I say that for a few reasons. It's simple and it's straightforward. It's non-controversial. We know the Board of Regents is in support. And most importantly, this bill is going to help young Kansans. So I ultimately think you should advance this bill out of committee and ultimately pass it. But let me give a few reasons why. Some basic stats first off. The cost of college is growing at a rate nearly 8 times that of wages. Student debt has become the second largest form of debt in the country. And absent federal intervention, it was actually the most defaulted on form of debt. And the average Kansan's total debt share would be $31,000 per borrower, a little bit over that. The decision of which school to attend or whether to go at all requires a great deal of consideration. Students and parents are entitled to have ready access to all the data they need, and this bill does just that. By publishing the excellent data already collected by stakeholders of the Kansas education system, students and parents will have much easier time navigating one of the most important and potentially costly decisions of one's life. This bill brings students, parents, guidance systems, and the Kansas University system itself together in a brand new way, and it's going to pay dividends for years to come. This is good policy, and I urge the committee to pass the bill. And I just wanted to say also thank you to the Board of Regents, the fantastic work you guys already did. I'm really looking forward to getting into the hands of every young individual in Kansas.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions from the committee? Representative Poskin and do you still have your hand raised? Did you have a question? Representative Wolf-Moore?
I've lowered my hand. I already asked my question, but thank you. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. We appreciate you. See no other hands raised, no questions on the queue there. Mr. Chairman, anything to add? Can't hear you, sir.
I think you're muted, Mr. Chair.
All right, can you hear me now? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to work with my assistant to try to get out talking to the counselors to have them come and speak to us about this and any other topic they would like to maybe share with us in the future. So that's something to look forward to. I feel like we have covered our agenda. Is there anybody else with comments or questions before we close the hearing? Not seeing anybody. Again, I think this is another of those bills that we will try to work next week. So I'll work with my vice chair to find some new members to get their opportunity to carry a bill, and expect the the very friendly hazing that comes along with that process. But something to look forward to. And if you have an interest in carrying a bill as a new member, we have several new members. I'm going to come back to the committee room here in a few minutes. Just let me know, and we'll start the process of getting that done after we work the bill next week. So with that committee, I'm going to close the hearing on House Bill 2085. I think we've got a tentative agenda for next week, and bills that I pre-filed on the civic citizenship is something I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and have a hearing. Deborah sent out a good story editorial that the Kansas City Star wrote, and it came out today. I spoke with them for about an hour last week and was pleasantly surprised in reading their article today. So as chairman, you do what you can to try to get information out of Bill, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I would hope that for members of the committee, you might look at the link that Deborah sent out on that article. And if you have questions of me, you can always call me or text me, and I'd be willing to discuss more. But that's something that we're going to have on the agenda. I'm also working with Nick Myers and Jessa to have the handouts that we had talked about yesterday from the education budget meeting. We'll have those, I think, available for Tuesday, and I know we'll have some explanations that we'll send out to with those, but that's something else that we'll be looking at doing next week. Does anybody else in the committee have anything to share? Or seeing nothing, committee, it was a practically painless meeting, and we are adjourned. Thank you.